This video covers section 3.2, graphing equations in two variables. Objective 3, graph vertical and horizontal lines. Vertical and horizontal lines. Horizontal has the prefix horizon, and the horizon, you look out in the sky and it's horizontal. That's the way to remember that horizontal lines look like this and vertical look like that. Graphing vertical and horizontal lines. If we have an equation like y equals 2 or x equals -3, they both are saying that one of the values is fixed, doesn't change. Letter A says y is always equal to 2. No matter what the x value is, -3, 0, 1, 4, 13, 22, no matter what that x value is, the y value will always be 2. When we plot a couple of those points where y must always be 2, we see that they start to take the shape of a horizontal line. So if y is 2, we're going to always be 2 units above the x-axis. And once you start filling in all the points above the x-axis, 2 points above the x-axis, we see that we get a horizontal line. So we now see that the graph of y equals -2 is a horizontal line. And remember, if it's horizontal, that says y is a fixed number. And remember, we called the x-axis, that was really the line where y equals 0. And likewise, we called the y-axis, that's where we said that the x's must be 0. So graphing x equal to -3, we're saying that x equals -3 always. So it's fixed at -3. No matter what the y value is, the x's are -3. When we plot a few of those points, -3, -8, -3, -4, -3, 0, -3, 3, we see that those form a vertical line. We fill in a couple more points where x is -3. And we start filling in this vertical line. So we connect the points with a line. And now we see that any equation of the form x equals is going to be a vertical line. Y equals are horizontal and x equals are vertical. So we go ahead and classify this and say a vertical line is given by an equation of the form x equals a. There's no y present in that equation. And if you have a vertical line, we say it crosses the x-axis at the point a, 0 or -3, 0. Horizontal lines, they have the form, their equation has the form y equals b. and they cross the y-axis at 0, comma b or 0, comma 2 in this example with no x-intercept. All right, here's a good summary of what we've learned with lines so far. The intercepts are points where the graph crosses or touches a coordinate axis. Intercepts need to be shown for a graph to be complete. We consider a graph of a line to be incomplete if it doesn't show its intercepts. The x-intercept, that's a point where it crosses the x-axis. We find this one by setting y equal to 0. The y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses or touches the y-axis. These points always have an x equals 0. Standard form of an equation of a line is where the x and the y are on the same side, where both a and b are not 0. These are easily graphed by using point plotting or intercepts. I like to do intercepts with the ax plus by equals c. And finally, the equation of a vertical line must have x equals its graph is vertical, whose intercept is a comma 0. Horizontal lines have the equations y equals a number, and its horizontal, whose y-intercept is 0 comma b. In the last example, we show an application of linear equations. Linear equations arise from when you have some kind of fixed value, like a weekly salary. Marta's guaranteed to earn $500 per week. And then a linear equation also has what's called a variable part to it, where she makes $100 in commission for every car she sells. So that's variable in the sense that she might make $100, she might make 200, 300, 400. The more cars she sells, the more commission she makes. The linear equation that calculates her weekly earnings is E equals 100n plus 500. E represents her weekly earnings. That includes the fixed salary of $500 a week and the $100 per car that she sells. So N is the number of cars she sold during the week. So if she sells 0 cars, her earnings are going to be 100 times 0 plus 500. She doesn't make any commission, so she only walks away with her $500 per week salary. If N equals 4 cars, then the earnings are $100 per car, which is 400, plus 500, which is $900. Now, if she gets lucky and sells 10 cars, she makes $100 per car, and 10 cars is $1,000 in commission, plus the $500 she gets for salary, which is $1,500. So we get the order pair 0, 500, 4, 900, and 10, 1,500. So we like to graph this to see it rise. The horizontal axis is your N, which is the number of cars sold. The vertical axis is the weekly earnings. Notice how we only have quadrant 1. It only makes sense to have the cars be greater than or equal to 0, and it only makes sense to have positive weekly earnings. So we plot the point 0, 500. We plot the point 4, 900. And we plot the point 10, 1500. Connecting those dots with a straight line. And that's a graph of the weekly earnings for Marta. Explain the meaning of the E intercept. This vertical axis is the E axis and the horizontal is the N axis. The E intercept is where it crosses the E axis. It crosses it at 0, 500. And the meaning of that just says that if she sells 0 cars, she makes $500. Or we could say something like she's always guaranteed $500 a week, regardless of commission or not. This concludes the video for section 3.2, graphing equations in 2 variables, objective 3, graph vertical and horizontal lines.